Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra, Srimad Divine Grace, Abhay Charan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotra Shri Srimad Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। आज जो है टुडे वी विल रीड समथिंग अबाउट श्रीला चैतन्य महाप्रभु और कुछ जयो जयो श्री चैतन्य जयो नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जयो गौर भक्त वृंदा जयो जयो श्री चैतन्य जयो नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा जयो जयो श्री चैतन्य जयो नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा जयो जयो श्री चैतन्य जयो नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जयो गौर भक्त वृंदा। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्विषे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। तो Chaitanya means what? Chaitanya means Atma. The core of our existence is because we are Atma. We are living because of the presence of the Atma. Our existence is due to Atma. If Atma is not there, we are non-existent. So Chaitanya symbolizes that aspect. Chaitanya symbolizes our spiritual life exists because Lord Chaitanya exists. If Lord Chaitanya is not there, then we have no spiritual life at all. Absolutely no spiritual life. We will have no idea, we will have no interest in spiritual life if Lord Chaitanya is not there in our life. Only reason we have some interest in spiritual life is because only if you have attraction to Lord Chaitanya. Our acharyas, I have constantly various acharyas in our parampara have constantly spoken about this. That how Lord Chaitanya is the core of a devotee's existence. We should never ever, even in our dreams, also think that we can exist without Chaitanya. Just as Krishna is incomplete without Radharani. Similarly, for a devotee, no matter whatever level of his spiritual life is, without Lord Chaitanya in his life, he is completely incomplete. Our very idea of spiritual life has been awakened due to the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Today, if we are sitting here and to whatever degree we are practicing spiritual life, only reason for that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because our spiritual life's source is the holy name of the Lord. And this holy name of the Lord has been brought to this material world by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just as Bhagirathi with his tapasya brought Ganga to this material world. Ganga is not a river of this material world. Ganga is a celestial river. She is not a river of this universe. So when Bhagirathi's ancestors were cursed and they all died, and when Bhagirathi was told that his ancestors can be relieved of that curse only if Ganga washes the ashes of their bodies. So Bhagirathi did tapasya in Satya Yoga. For thousands of years he did tapasya. And then he brought Bhagirathi down to this material world. So similarly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understanding the fallen condition of living entities in this material world, in this age and time, he has brought this holy name from Golokdham. Golokera Premadama Harizama Sankirtana. This Harinam Sankirtan has been brought from Golokdham. And living entities who are in fallen condition like us, for whom there is no any interest, any inclination towards spiritual activities, because we are so fully immersed in material sense gratification of various proportions. We have no inclination towards any kind of spiritual activities. So being the case, there was no chance for us to be attracted to lead a spiritual life. But it is only due to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy that he brought this holy name from the spiritual abode, from the highest loka, material or spiritual, which is the abode of Lord Sri Krishna. From there he brought this great sound vibration which can purify and give an experience of the highest achievement that any person can even think of, which is Krishna Prema. Krishna Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurat Vishe Namah. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought this holy name. That is why he is Mahavadanyaya, most munificent, most merciful. And anybody who engages in chanting Krishna's name, they will experience Krishna Prema. Krishna Prema Pradayate. Krishna Prema is the most difficult thing that any living entity can aspire for. The most precious thing that anybody can get. And that most precious, that most valuable thing, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has gifted it to the most fallen souls like us. In this material world, to achieve anything slightly valuable also, one has to do great tapasya. Lot of shrama is required. Lot of efforts are required. Just like we can see in this Kali Yuga. To just maintain ourselves or a family of 4 children, how much effort is required in this material world? To just run a family. Day and night one has to struggle. A child of just 4 years you can see in this material world. The mother wakes him up early in the morning. He has to go, take bath, run to the school, catch the bus, sit in the bus, go to the school, and then sit and struggle. A, B, C, like a dog he is made to repeat those words. And then when he is growing up, he is further forced. That small child, you can see such a big bag, like a gunny bag he carries on his back. He struggles, he goes to the school. The child cries, I don't want to go to the school. The parents forcibly take him and drop him to the school. He is crying, Mama, please don't leave me, I want to come with you. No, you stay there. Forcefully made to work. He grows up. You see the kind of pressure that we have in today's age and time, academic pressure. So much they have pressure. They have to study day and night. Not just enough studying. In a class of 100 children, they have to become the top. Otherwise, what is the use? They will not even be able to get a good position. Not good position, at least some position. So you see, from a very young age in this material world, to become something, to achieve something, to just maintain your body and soul together. Big struggle, big endeavor, very big endeavor. That is the nature of this material world. You go to college, then you pass out, you can see so many examples, like for example, the newspaper we keep reading. For a peon job, for a third, fourth sector class, for peon job, engineers, PhD people, they are applying for work. What a struggle, what an endeavor it is in this material world. Recently, personally, I was traveling in the train. At that time, my co-passenger, I asked him, "What are you doing?" So he said, "मैं railway में engine driver हूँ." He said, engine. He said, he didn't use the word engine driver. He said what? Loco pilot. Yes. He said loco pilot. Oh, acha, I asked engine driver. So he was little upset. Because I didn't know this word loco. Then I understood. Oh, I made a mistake. At least some dignity is there when you say loco pilot. In our zamana, it was still called a engine driver only. So he said, yeah, loco pilot. So then he was telling me that in the night, because he is a new recruit, young boy, maybe around 28, 29 years boy he was. So he is still not riding passenger trains. They have put him in, he is a goods train driver. So he is telling me, Prabhu, sometimes our life is worse than hell. In the goods engine, in the train engine, if the outside temperature is 40 degrees, inside the engine it will be 51 degrees, 52 degrees. And in that temperature, sometimes in some jungle, for the passenger trains to pass, they have to just stand there. Wait till all the passengers, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. He said, 8 hours I have waited because signal doesn't come for me to move. Just imagine his position in Indian summer in our area, in the peak afternoon, if he has to sit inside that engine in that metal body, what will be his position? And then he told me, I have passed engineering from government college. I am a merit student. I didn't get any other job. So I wrote engine driver job and I got. Today I have respect because I have a government railway job. So you see in this material world how much of struggle people are doing to just run their family, 40,000-50,000 rupees to earn. Material existence, just to survive. So difficult it is to get such a small thing. Whereas Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that big tapasya, my dear Arjuna, in the description when Krishna is speaking in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that not many big rishis, big tapasvis, big muni, big rishis, they have not seen my form like the way you have seen, my dear Arjuna. Krishna says they are not so fortunate, but I am showing you my form. They anchor. The anchor for Krishna's form. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that in Kali Yuga, big rishis, so much tapasya they do. So much of purification. They try to engage in to purify themselves. And in spite of all those things, they are not able to get Krishna like that. Whereas in Kali Yuga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are most fallen. We have no any sense of any iota of purity in ourselves. But yet, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is favoring us by granting us what? Krishna Prema Pradayate. So magnanimous Mahaprabhu is. So liberal. So liberal. No problem. You are fallen. Papi, tapi, yata chilo, harinama uddhari. Doesn't matter. You are most fallen. Or you are great tapasvi. Doesn't matter. But if you take up the process of harinama, you are uddhari lo. You are liberated. This wonderful incarnation is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one who is able to take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most blessed and most fortunate person in this world. Anybody who has come under the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he becomes the most blessed soul. He is the chosen one. He is the chosen one. Just like we say, oh, he is the prince, Baba. He is the chosen one. He is the prince. He is the king. For him, all special things, no rules apply to that king. Actually, no rules. Yes, material laws don't apply to a devotee. Krishna automatically provides everything automatically to a devotee. Material as well as spiritual. There will be nothing lacking in a devotee if he is taking shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nothing lacking. Practically we can see, we have experienced this. Anybody who has practiced spiritual life according to the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will see in their own life that there is some divine protection and sustenance for that person. Just you have to take shelter of the holy name. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is present. Don't worry. Just like Prahlad was tortured and done so many things. But Prahlad's state of mind was cool. Absolutely nothing was disturbing him. No matter what condition, he was put in the fire, he was put in among poisonous snakes, he was put in, thrown from the mountain tops, dumped in the sea. No matter what you do, Prahlad was just cool as a cucumber. They say he's cool as a cucumber. Prahlad was cool. Why? Because he is so absorbed in Krishna consciousness that he is not identifying himself with this body at all. Because pains and pleasures are experienced and felt by our body and mind and senses. If you immerse yourself in the holy name like that, 100% sure, you will not experience pains or pleasures at mind, body and senses level. You will be completely transcendental. When we say transcendental means what? Transcendental means he is not on this plane at all. He is on a different plane altogether. It is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mercy. Our Narottam Das Thakur says, one who has not taken shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is the most fallen person. The most fallen person. So somehow or the other, if you have got the opportunity to associate with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, consider yourself the most fortunate person in this, not only in this universe or any universe. You are the most fortunate person. We will read some aspects of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his life, his activities, his personality. One small brief summary is there. Somebody has written this. It is taken from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life only. But in brief, it is mentioned. So we will read this. Life and pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the prologue to the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. How many of you have read teachings of Lord Chaitanya? So the first introduction part of teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada said teachings of Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya is one of the favorite books of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada himself said that it is one of my favorite books. Nectar of Devotion and Teachings of Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya are one of the favorite books that Srila Prabhupada personally enjoyed reading. So, life and pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This account originally appeared in a short work by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur entitled Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, His Life and Precepts, dated 20th August 1896. This was taken from the prologue to Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, written by Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada in 1974. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born in Mayapur in the town of Nadia just after sunset on the evening of the 23rd Falguna, answering to the 18th of February 1486 of the Christian era. The moon was eclipsed at the time of his birth, and the people of Nadia were then engaged, as was usual on such occasions, in bathing in the Bhagirathi with loud cheers of Haribol. His father Jagannath Mishra, a poor Brahmana of the Vedic order, and his mother Shachi Devi, a model good woman, both descended from Brahmana stock originally residing in Sylhet. Mahaprabhu was a beautiful child, and ladies of the town came to see him with presents. His mother's father, Pandita Nilambara Chakravarti, a renowned astrologer, foretold that the child would be a great personage in time, and he therefore gave him the name Vishvambara. The ladies of the neighborhood styled him Gaura Hari on account of his golden complexion, and his mother called him Nimai on account of the Nimba tree near which he was born. Beautiful as the lad was, everyone heartily loved to see him every day. As he grew up, he became a whimsical and frolicsome lad. After his 5th year, he was admitted into a Patashala where he picked up Bengali in a very short time. Most of his contemporary biographers have mentioned certain anecdotes regarding Chaitanya, which are simple records of his early miracles. It is said that when he was an infant in his mother's arms, he wept continually, and when the neighboring ladies cried, "Haribol," he used to stop. Thus there was continuation of utterance of Haribol in the house, foreseeing the future mission of the hero. It has also been stated that when his mother gave him sweetmeats to eat, he ate clay instead of the food. His mother asking for the reason, he stated that as every sweetmeat was nothing but clay transformed, he could eat clay as well. His mother, who was also the consort of a Pandita, explained that every article in a special state was adapted to a special use. Earth, while in the state of a jug, could be used as a water pot, but in the state of a brick, such a use was not possible. Clay, therefore, in the form of sweetmeats, was usable as food, but clay in its other states was not. The lad was convinced and admitted his stupidity in eating clay and agreed to avoid the mistake in the future. Another miraculous act has been related. It is said that a Brahmana on a pilgrimage became a guest in his house, cooked food and read grace with meditation upon Krishna. In the meantime, the lad came and ate up the cooked rice. The Brahmana, astonished at the lad's act, cooked again at the request of Jagannath Mishra. The lad again ate up the cooked rice while the Brahmana was offering the rice to Krishna with meditation. The Brahmana was persuaded to cook for the third time. This time all the inmates of the house had fallen asleep, and so the lad showed himself as Krishna to the traveller and blessed him. The Brahmana was then lost in ecstasy at the appearance of the object of his worship. So these are all various pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His Balya Leela, his childhood Leelas. So the first Leela where the description of the aspect where Mahaprabhu is eating clay was performed basically to explain to the Mayavadis that there are varieties in this universe. There are varieties that we must recognize. Just like, for example, Mayavadi philosophy says that everything is one. The Jiva, the Lord, the principal conclusion of Mayavada philosophy is that the Jiva and the Paramatma are one. The Jiva and the Lord are one in its purified state. That is what they say. So, there is no need to, when one becomes completely purified, then he becomes as good as Narayana, or he himself is Narayana. Sometimes you can see they address each other as Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. The understanding in that address is that we are also become Narayana in the purified state of existence. There is no difference between Narayana and the living entity. That is the conclusion. So, in relation to that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, yes, there is no relation between, because ultimately, say we are eating vegetables, we are eating fruits, everything, right? Where is these fruits coming from? Where is these vegetables coming from? They are coming from mud, right? This plant is coming from what? You put a seed into the mud. The seed is getting all the things that is required for the seed from where? From Bhumi. Everything is coming from the Bhumi, from the earth. So ultimately, that mud is providing all the ingredients for that fruit to become what it is. So you are eating, when you eat an apple, when you eat an orange, when you eat a mango, what are you eating? You are eating things that are taken from the earth. All the things that are present in that fruit are substances that are taken from the earth. The root has taken from the earth and then pumped it into and made it into a fruit. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Acha, it's like that. So then I will, why to wait till the fruit itself? Let me take the mud only and put it into my mouth. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did that. To show what? To show that, to tell the Mayavadis, everything is one. No. Mud is also the same. The fruit is also the same, because fruit is after all transformation of the mud. No, we all know it is not. Mud is mud, fruit is fruit. Although the ingredients of the fruit may be taken derived from the mud. Similarly, the living entity is Amsha of the Supreme Lord, but yet that Amsha cannot be the whole. It is still a part of that. The fruit is a part of the earth. No doubt about it. Nobody is disputing that. But yet, the fruit is different from the earth. See, small child, at that time itself, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established his tattva. His tattva, that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is our tattva? What is our spiritual conclusion? What is our philosophical conclusion? The idea, the relationship between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. In our Gaudiya Sampradaya, we say it is Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva. Achintya. It is simultaneously one and different. That's perfect knowledge. Yes, the fruit is, in one level it is the same as the earth, but at another level it is also different from the earth. Similarly, the living entity at one level is same with the Lord, but at another level it is different from the Lord. So, if somebody says, Are, what yaar, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you are Krishna, what does he do? He plays with the gopis, he eats mud from the Yamuna, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does this. So he is an ordinary person, he is like any child. Any naughty child will be there. They do all these kind of things. Why are you worshipping him, putting him in a pedestal and doing all those things? No. They are doing what they are doing for a purpose. It is not like us in ignorance. In the material world, if some child is acting, doing various things, that is done in the mode of ignorance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Krishna eating the mud is not done of. They have a clear purpose in doing all such kind of things. That's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, somebody who is not a devotee of Krishna, they cannot understand Krishna's activities. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yoveti tattvataha. Krishna says, somebody who can understand, my birth, my activities, is not an ordinary soul. If somebody can understand my birth and my activities, that person, tyaktva deham punar janma naiti sorjuna. He becomes liberated soul. He doesn't take birth in this material world again. So you see such a exalted position that person achieves. So to understand Krishna's birth, to understand Krishna's activities, he is not ordinary. He has to be in a very, very elevated level of consciousness. He needs superior intelligence to understand how Krishna is eating mud, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is eating mud. Just like, for example, the description here we just now read, that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was small boy, even he would cry. The neighboring ladies would come and tell, Hari Bol, and the child would simply keep quiet, enjoying. Now, somebody who is an atheist will immediately say, even in our house one child is there. If he is saying something, it will keep quiet. It wants attention. They will say, that means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an attention seeker. He wants constantly to people keep attention on him. So you see, Maya gives us opportunity to deny, to develop a relationship with God. There is an opportunity. A devotee sees, see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he heard Haribol, he kept quiet. That means how devoted he is towards Krishna. That is a devotee's thinking. A Nastika, a atheist thinking is, this is what is there. These people are mad people. For a irrelevant thing, they are becoming emotional. They are sentimental fools. People make this kind of conclusion. Actually, it is very subtle. To understand these kind of things, to develop this level of this kind of consciousness, it is not possible through our own intelligence and abilities. You have to be specially the chosen one. You have to be the specially the chosen. Just like you see how somebody who is not having a faith, how they can completely misread the entire situation. Like for example, the third pastime we just now read. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what was food was cooked, was supposed to be offered to the deities. The Brahmana cooked, and as soon as he cooked, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come and eat it. So somebody can immediately misread this. Hey, this child is very ill-behaved child. He doesn't have, his parents have not taught him any good behavior. That this child, he just comes and eats. Immediately you have made an offense in your conclusion. Whereas a devotee reads, see, because how we read this, the object of that offering, for us, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the original recipient of that offering. He is the owner of that offering, because a devotee sees that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sakshat Vishnu. All offerings are supposed to be done for Vishnu. Yajno Vaisaha, Yajnapati. Krishna is Yajnapati, Vishnu is Yajnapati. And that Vishnu, thus Yajnapati, is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is his right to partake of what that Brahmana does. But that Brahmana being a devotee, and Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to establish that special relationship, but that Brahmana is not an ordinary person. It is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mercy to that Brahmana, that Brahmana always was a nice devotee of Lord Vishnu, devotee of Lord Krishna, that he was so fortunate that personally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed a leela with that soul. That is Krishna's magnanimity. Krishna relates with his devotee in various ways, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly, sometimes through Guru's words, sometimes Krishna sends. We have all experienced. Krishna relates directly. Sometimes when we newly come into Krishna consciousness, our intelligence is all corrupted. Like termite ridden. We cannot think. There is no clarity. There is no understanding. Full confused state of existence we are in. But very soon, just within a very short period of adopting Krishna consciousness, principles of Krishna consciousness, and if we follow the practices of Krishna consciousness, within a short while we will be able to grasp and get clarity. Our mind becomes, you see, in this material world, when we talk to people, when we talk to non-devotees, when we talk to them, so clear, it is so obvious, they have absolutely no clarity in their mind. Like mad, they're driven by some other force. At least devotees, even if they are not able to follow, they know that what I am doing is crazy. But non-devotees, they have no idea that they are doing the most craziest thing, and they feel that we are doing the best thing that is possible. You see. Material world is a crazy place. This material world is a crazy, crazy place. Madness it is. Total madness. For illusory pleasure, we are running day and night, day and night, day and night. Mahaprabhu just completely vanquished all this darkness. It has also been stated that two thieves stole away the lad from his father's door with a view to purloin his jewels and give him sweetmeats on the way. The lad exercised his illusory energy and deceived the thieves back towards his own house. The thieves, for fear of detection, left the boy there and fled. Another miraculous act that has been described is the lads demanding and getting from Hiranya and Jagadisha all the offerings they had collected for worshipping Krishna on the day of Ekadashi. When only 4 years of age, he sat on rejected cooking pots which were considered unholy by his mother. He explained to his mother that there was no question of holiness and unholiness as regards to earthen pots thrown away after the cooking was over. These anecdotes relate to his tender age up to the 5th year. In his 8th year, he was admitted into the Tola of Gangadas Pandita in Ganga Nagara, close by the village of Mayapur. In 2 years, he became well read in Sanskrit grammar and rhetoric. His readings after that were of the nature of self-study in his own house, where he had found all important books belonging to his father, who was a Pandita himself. It appears that he read the Smriti in his own study and the Nyaya also in competition with his friends who were then studying under celebrated Pandita Raghunatha Shiromani. Now after the 10th year of his age, Chaitanya became a possible scholar in grammar, rhetoric, the Smriti and the Nyaya. It was after this that his elder brother Vishwarupa left his house and accepted the ashrama status of a sannyasi ascetic. Chaitanya, though a very young boy, consoled his parents saying that he would serve them with a view to please God. Just after that, his father left this world. His mother was exceedingly sorry, and Mahaprabhu, with his usual contented appearance, consoled his widowed mother. So these are some of the wonderful pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his young age. We will sing a small Vaishnava bhajan and then we will continue reading. Anyhow, today there is no prasadam, so instead of it is fasting, but we will feast on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Sundara bhala shachira dhulala नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में सुंदर भाला शचिर दुलाला नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में बाल चंदन तिलक मनोहर बाल चंदन तिलक मनोहर अलका शोभे कपोलन में सुंदर भाला शचिर दुलाला नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में हीरे टूडा दरशी बाले वन फूल माला य पर ढोले हीरे चूड़ा दरशी पाले वन फूल माला य पर ढोले हिरण पीत पीतांबर शोभे हिरण पीत पीतांबर शोभे पूरा ऋणु जुनु कपड़ों में पूरा ऋणु जुनु चरणों में सुंदर बाला नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में राधा कृष्ण एक तनु है राधा कृष्ण एक तनु है धुवन माजे बंशी बजाए धुवन माजे बंशी बजाए विश्वरूप के प्रभु जी साई विश्वरूप के प्रभु जी साई आवोत प्रकट ये नदिया में होत प्रकट ये नदिया में श्री हरि कीर्तन में कोई गायत राधा कृष्ण नाम कोई गायत राधा कृष्ण नाम कोई गायत है हरि गुण कोई गायत है हरि गुण मंगलतान मृदंग रसाला मंगलतान मृदंग रसाला बाजत है कोई रंगण में बाजत है कोई रंगण में सुंदर भाला शरीर दुलारा नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में सुंदर बाला शरीर दुलारा सुंदर बाला शरीर दुलारा हरि कीर्तन में। It was at the age of 14 or 15 that Mahaprabhu was married to Lakshmi Devi, the daughter of Vallabhacharya, also of Nadia. He was at this age considered one of the best scholars of Nadia, then renowned seat of Nyaya philosophy and Sanskrit learning. Not to speak of the Smarta Panditas, the Nayayikas were all afraid of confronting him in literary discussions. Being a married man, he went to eastern Bengal on the banks of the Padma for acquirement of wealth. There he displayed his learning and obtained a good sum of money. It was at this time that he preached Vaishnavism at intervals. After teaching him the principles of Vaishnavism, he ordered Tapana Mishra to go and live in Banaras. During his residence in East Bengal, his wife Lakshmi Devi left this world from the effects of a snake bite. On returning home, he found his mother in a mourning state. He consoled her with a lecture on the uncertainty of human affairs. It was at his mother's request that he married Vishnupriya, the daughter of Raja Pandita Sanatana Mishra. His comrades joined him on his return from Pravasa or sojourn. He was now so renowned that he was considered to be the best Pandita in Nadia. Keshava Mishra of Kashmira, who had called himself the great Digvijayi, came to Nadia with a view to discuss with the Pandita of that place. Afraid of the so-called conquering Pandita, the Tola professors of the Nadia left their town on pretense of invitation. Keshava met Mahaprabhu at the Badokana Gata in Mayapur, and after a very short discussion with him, he was defeated by the boy, and mortification obliged him to decamp. Nimai Pandita was now the most important Pandita of his times. So you can see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as he was growing up, he became a very scholarly person. And in those times, scholars used to compete with each other and show off their scholastic abilities. So during those times, there was a great scholar from Kashmir called Kashmira Pandita. The other scholars, they used to run away, just like wrestling match is there. If you have a big sumo wrestler and an Indian who is thin and small, what will be the competition like? They will run away, no? I cannot handle this fellow. Right? So similarly was the competitors and Kashmira's status. Kashmira was such a big Pandita. So all the scholars ran away giving various excuses. No, my wife's child's marriage is there or something, some vague reason, and then escaped. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at that time, Nimai Pandit, he was known as a small 14-year-old boy. So he stood up to fight with in a scholastic compete with Kashmira, and then Kashmira was defeated. Kashmira, dum uta ke bhag gaya. So he just ran away. So you see, who can defeat the Supreme Lord? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. Who can defeat him? Nobody can defeat him. He is the most wise person. He is the most learned person. There is no competition at all. He swooned at the name of Krishna. It was at the age of 16 or 17 that he travelled to Gaya with a host of his students and there took his spiritual initiation from Ishwarapuri, a Vaishnava sannyasi and a disciple of the renowned Madhavendra Puri. Upon his return to Nadia, Nimai Pandita turned religious preacher and his religious nature became so strongly represented that Advaita Prabhu, Srivasa and others who had before the birth of Chaitanya already accepted the Vaishnava faith were astonished at the change of the young man. He was then no more a contending Nayayika, a wrangling Smarta and a criticizing rhetorician. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he's in his younger days, that is below the age of 16, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to tell, yes, come, I am ready for a fight, come, let's fight. But then after he went to Gaya, he lost interest in doing all this competition and all. He said, no, I don't want to do any of this competition. We had already become a sannyasi and he was not interested in all these kind of things. He swooned at the name of Krishna and behaved as an inspired man under the influence of his religious sentiment. It has been described by Murari Gupta, an eyewitness, that he showed his heavenly powers in the house of Shiva's Pandita in the presence of hundreds of his followers who were mostly well-read scholars. It was at this time that he opened a nocturnal school of Kirtana in the compound of Shiva's Pandita with his sincere followers. There he preached, there he sang, there he danced, and there he expressed all sorts of religious feelings. Nityananda Prabhu, who was then a preacher of Vaishnavism and who had then completed his travels all over India, joined him at that time. In fact, a host of Pandita preachers of Vaishnavism, all sincere at heart, came and joined him from different parts of Bengal. Nadia now became the regular seat of a host of Vaishnava Acharyas, whose mission it was to spiritualize mankind with the highest influence of the Vaishnava creed. So you can see the social life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during those times. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to have night kirtans. That was the night parties of Mahaprabhu. Right? Today everybody does party. Right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's party was kirtan at the house of Shiva's Pandita, where his close associates would gather and they would sing and dance and enjoy chanting Krishna's various names. The first mandate that he issued to Prabhu Nityananda and Haridas was this: go, friends, go through the streets of the town, meet every man at his door and ask him to sing the name of Hari with a holy life, and you then come and report to me every evening the result of your preaching. Thus ordered, the two preachers went on and met Jagai and Madai, two most abominable characters. They insulted the preachers on hearing Mahaprabhu's mandate, but were soon converted by the influence of bhakti, devotion inculcated by their Lord. The people of Nadia were now surprised. They said, Nimai Pandita is not only a gigantic genius, but is certainly a missionary from God Almighty. From this time of his 23rd year, Mahaprabhu preached his principle not only in Nadia, but in all important towns and villages around his city. In the houses, to his followers he showed miracles, taught the esoteric principles of bhakti, and sang his sankirtana with other bhaktas. His followers of the town of Nadia commenced to sing the holy name of Hari in the streets and bazaars. This created a sensation and roused different feelings in different quarters. The bhaktas were highly pleased. The Smarta Brahmanas became jealous of Nimai Pandita's success and complained to Chand Kazi against the character of Chaitanya as un-Hindu. The Kazi came to Srivas Pandita's house and broke a mridanga there and declared that unless Nimai Pandita ceased to make noise about his queer religion, he would be obliged to enforce Mohammedanism on him and his followers. This was brought to Mahaprabhu's notice. See, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a preacher, primarily a preacher of Krishna consciousness. A preacher is unstoppable. He is unstoppable. Once anybody who is attracted by Krishna, it will be his nature to constantly speak about Krishna. You cannot stop yourself. You will speak. What can be done? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so absorbed in Krishna that he would constantly speak about Krishna. And not only that, he would constantly speak about Krishna, and the people who heard about Krishna from him, they would also speak about Krishna to others. Which is what we can see in these pastimes. Now, the people who heard from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, they were ordered to go and preach Krishna's message. And they made multiple devotees. And when multiple devotees come up, Mayavadis and atheist people, they become envious, they become jealous. They'll see, oh, these people are becoming very popular. These people are creating so many followers. We should stop them. They will find so many faults. You can see, practically we are all seeing that. As soon as we start preaching Krishna consciousness and we start, our neighbors, our surrounding people, they will start finding fault. Although nothing has been done to them. That is the nature of this material world. In this material world, because people are envious by nature. they will create these kind of fault-finding tendency. Because they don't want to see that somebody is growing. It's like that. That's the nature of this material world. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when this Qazi broke the Mridanga and ordered that he will convert everybody to Mohammedanism if they don't stop doing all these kind of things, like public kirtan and all, they should not do based on the instigation of the caste Brahmanas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, seeing this, he ordered the townspeople to appear in the evening, each with a torch in his hand. This they did, and Nimai marched out with his Sankirtan, divided in 14 groups, and on his arrival in Qazi's house, he held a long conversation with the Qazi, and in the end communicated into his heart his Vaishnava influence by touching his body. The Qazi then wept and admitted that he had felt a keen spiritual influence which had cleared up his doubts and produced in him a religious sentiment which gave him the highest ecstasy. The Qazi then joined the Sankirtan party. The world was astonished at the spiritual power of the great Lord, and hundreds of heretics converted and joined the banner of Vishwambara after this affair. See, when pure Krishna consciousness, somebody who is leading, just by their association, people become attracted to Krishna. You can see Srila Prabhupada, when he went to the West, by his presence, by his association, those mlechas, those Americans and Europeans, they have no piety in their souls. They are cow meat eaters. Very low class. Prabhupada says one who eats cow meat, their brain can never take up Krishna consciousness. They are so polluted. Their intelligence is completely... But yet, those cow meaters, by the association of Srila Prabhupada, became... Prabhupada says his Western followers, they are Vishnu Dutas. Prabhupada says, when with the Tilak, Kantimala and the Japamala, when these Westerners come in India, they will be considered as Vishnu Dutas, representatives of Vishnu. With that effulgence, they become, you see. That is the power of a pure devotee. That's why it is said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kaye, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoye. Just a little association of a pure devotee, just a little association, just a little, 3 times it is. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha. Sarva Siddhi. All, whatever things, desires you have, everything can be obtained, everything can be achieved by the association of a pure devotee. So just imagine, this is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself associating. How fortunate they are. It was after this that some of the jealous and low-minded Brahmanas of Kulia picked a quarrel with Mahaprabhu and collected a party to oppose him. Nimai Pandita was naturally a soft-hearted person. Though strong in his principles, he declared that party feelings and sectarianism were the 2 great enemies of progress, and that as long as he should continue to be an inhabitant of Nadia, belonging to a certain family, his mission would not meet with complete success. He then resolved to be a citizen of the world by cutting his connection with his particular family, caste and creed, and with this resolution, he embraced the position of a sannyasi at Katwa under the guidance of Keshava Bharti of the town. On the 24th year of his age, his mother and wife wept bitterly for his separation. But our hero, though soft in heart, was a strong person in principle. He left his little world in his house for the unlimited spiritual world of Krishna. with man in general. See, one of the great qualities of Krishna is what? Krishna has 6 main qualities. And one of the 6 main qualities is Vairagya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had the most loving mother, had the most beautiful wife. But yet, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he saw that these envious people, they are blaming his family, they are blaming his grandfather. So he said, cut it off. I cut all my relationship with my family. I don't want any of these things, although they're so loving, they're so caring. In this material world, people commit suicide because they don't have a good family. People become depressed because of a bad wife or a bad husband. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had it all. He had the most loving family. He had the most beautiful wife. He had the most wealthy things. Yet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sacrificed everything. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself says, when somebody, like for example, when somebody asks about our identity, when somebody asks about who we are, we say, I am so and so name. My family is this, my husband is this, my father is this, my mother is this. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what does he say is identity? He says, Naham varni nachagra patir na vanasto yatirva kintu prodhya nikila paramananda purnamrutabder gopi vartur padakamalyor dasa dasa anudasa. How Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduces himself? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduces himself as Naham varni nachagra patir. I do not belong to any varna. Varna means what? Caste. There are 4 castes. What are the 4 castes? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. The Varnashrama Dharma. 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasi is Ashram. And Varna means your caste. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So, like in this material world, if a Brahmana, like sometimes, people criticize us. ये तो ब्राह्मण है, ये तो राजपूत ठाकुर है, इसीलिए ऐसा करता है. ये तो बंगी है, ये तो शूद्रा है. हाँ, ये तो वैश्य है, लालची आदमी है. People find out faults in every varnas. Like Thakur will find fault in Vaishya, or Vaishya will find fault in Shudra, or Brahmana will find fault in. So all material world, everybody is trying to fault with each others. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Naham Varni, he says, I don't belong to any caste. Na Grihapatir, nor I am having any ashrama. I am not a Grihapati. I am not a Grihastha or anything. Nor am I sannyasi, na vanasto. I don't belong to any varna or any ashrama. So what is my identity? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu identifies himself as Gopi Bhartur Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudasa. I am just the servant of the servant of the servant of gopis. So powerful message Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is making here for fools of this material world who want to identify themselves as I am this, I am that, I am this. How foolish it is. What a exalted message Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving. This is what you should aim to become. In this material world, all of us, we are aiming, I want to be engineer, I want to be doctor, I want to be IAS officer, I want to have a wife like this, I want to have a family like this, I want to be prime minister of this country, I want to be a CEO, I want to be this, I want to be that. Not only us, our family, our surrounding, our friends, relative, everybody constantly keeps on pushing our brain. You become like this, you become like that. What is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like? You don't be a grihastha, you don't be a sannyasi, you don't be any big engineer, doctor, whatever, businessman, rich man, poor man. No. What you should be? You should be Gopi Bhartur Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudasa. You should be the servant of the servant of the servant of gopis. What a message Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving. our aim in life, our goal in life should be to achieve this state of existence. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the age of 24 years, he gave up his family. Srimad Bhagavatam says, this material life one should give up like mala. Will anybody, after we pass our stools in the morning, will we say, oh, my stool, so nice property? Anybody will claim like that? We are running off. Ayo! It is, I have not done that. You know, somebody, the other day somewhere, somebody sent me a WhatsApp joke. Prank. You know, they are doing a prank. And somebody is making a prank call and telling, hey, आपने ट्रेन में जो है ये कर दिया, आपने पानी नहीं डाला. अरे मैंने नहीं किया. He goes on telling, simply prank. I don't know many if you have read that, you have heard that. Very funny it is. So in my mind at that time itself I was thinking, see, this is how we are. We don't want to claim. So he is saying, somebody is calling. That prank is, in short, what is the prank? Somebody makes a call and then tell you, did you travel in this train? He said, yes, I traveled. Was your seat number 23? Yes, seat number 23. Then he says, अरे आपने क्या कर दिया? क्या कर दिया सर? आप बाथरूम गए थे? हाँ मैं गया था. बाथरूम करके आपने जो है उधर सुसु या जो भी किया? नहीं, हाँ किया था सर. He says, फिर आपने पानी नहीं डाला है? नहीं सर मैं डाला है. आपने क्लियर नहीं किया है? नहीं नहीं वो नहीं, मैं नहीं, वो दूसरा का आदमी है, वो किया होगा. You see, the idea is what? The thing is that nobody wants to say that this is mine. Somebody बाथरूम गया था, आपने जो है उधर एक डायमंड रिंग रख दिया. हाँ मैंने रख दिया, वो मैंने रख दिया. You want to claim like that. But Malavat, our Shastra Bhagavatam says that this material life, we should just discard it just the way how we discard our stool in the morning. Its value is only that much. So-called doctor, engineer, this, so many things, it's all material, false identities which will only perpetuate our material existence. If you hold on to this, what will happen? If you hold on to the stool, what will happen? If you don't clear your stomach, what will happen? Badbu aayega. You will fart. That's what will happen. Right? And bad smell will come. Right? So similarly, if we hold on to these material designations, if we hold on to these material things, we will smell, we will rot. Dirty smell will come from us. Everybody will see, oh, इन्होंने ही किया. Ganda. In our childhood we used to tease. And all our cousins and all used to sit. There was one cousin of mine. And he was famous for that. Oh, hey, this is your work. We used to tease. Material world is like that. The more we are attached to the material world, we will be the butt of jokes. We will smell, we will rot. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you see, so easily, he understood. No, not required. It's okay. After his sannyasa, he was induced to visit the house of Advaita Prabhu in Shantipura. Advaita managed to invite all his friends and admirers from Nadia and brought Sachidevi to see her son. Both pleasure and pain invaded her heart when she saw her son in the attire of a sannyasi. As a sannyasi, Sri Krishna Chaitanya put on nothing but a kaupina, 2 pieces of cloth, a loin cloth, and a bahirvasa, outer covering. His head was without hair, and his hands bore a dhanda, stick, and a kamandalu, hermit's water pot. The holy son fell at the feet of his beloved mother and said, Mother, this body is yours, and I must obey your orders. Permit me to go to Vrindavana for my spiritual attainments. See, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he is taking permission from his mother so humbly. He's saying, this body is yours. Yes, it is our mother who has given us this body. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, please allow me to continue in my life as sannyasi. Don't create obstacles for me. And Shachi Devi being a great devotee, she is also like that. But even when we see our devotees, the mother says, I will kill you and I will also commit suicide. I have seen in our temple once, one devotee was joining the temple, but mother and father were saying, Aapke gate mein I will commit suicide. When that boy joined our temple, the mother and father is saying, the moment we see you inside this temple, the next day morning you will see our dead bodies on the gate of this building. So attached, right? There's no understanding that there is a higher purpose. So attached. For their material goals to be achieved, they want their children to satisfy their desires. The material world, you can see the parents of Kali Yuga, they are so crazy. I have made an investment on you. The parents treat their children as an investment. Just बैंक में deposit डाला है, तो deposit से क्या आना चाहिए? Interest आना चाहिए. They will treat their children like all Kali Yuga, Asuras, Rakshasas, because the mothers and fathers are so-called, everything is driven by sex pleasure. Everything is an investment. I have made you study, I have brought this bank loan. So openly they say. The mother, in consultation with Advaita and others, asked her son to reside in Puri. The only request that Shachi Mata had was what? At least you be in Puri. So that I know you are near me, at least. The town of Jagannatha, so that she might obtain his information now and then. Actually, in those days, there was no mobile phone or any kind of telecommunication network there. So, from Bengal, people keep traveling, Jagannath Puri and Bengal. Although it's not so near, it is 600, 700 kilometers from Mayapur. But yet, at least, people keep going. So, Shachi Mata can know how their son is. That's all that she had as a request. So that Mahaprabhu agreed to that proposition and in a few days left Shantipura for Orissa. His biographers have described the journey of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. That was the name he got after his sannyasa. From Nimai Pandita, now he has become Krishna Chaitanya. His biographers have described the journey of Sri Krishna Chaitanya from Shantipura to Puri in great detail. He travelled along the side of Bhagirathi as far as Chhatrabhoga, situated now in Thana, Mathurapura, Diamond Harbour, 24 Paragnas. There he took a boat and went as far as Prayaga Ghata in the Midnapur district. Then he walked through Balasore and Cuttack to Puri, seeing the temple of Bhuvaneshwara on his way. Upon his arrival at Puri, he saw Jagannatha in the temple and resided with Sarvabhauma at the request of the latter. Sarvabhauma was a gigantic Pandita of the day. His readings knew no bounds. He was the best Nayayika of the times and was known as the most erudite scholar in the Vedanta philosophy of the school of Shankaracharya. He was born in Nadia, Vidyanagara, and taught innumerable pupils in the Nyaya philosophy in his stola there. He had left for Puri some time before the birth of Nimai Pandita. His brother-in-law Gopinath Mishra introduced our new sannyasi to Sarvabhauma, who was astonished at his personal beauty and feared that it would be difficult for the young man to maintain sannyasa dharma during the long run of his life. Gopinatha, who had known Mahaprabhu from Nadia, had a great reverence for him and declared that the sannyasi was not a common human being. At this point, Gopinatha and Sarvabhauma had a hot discussion. Sarvabhauma then requested Mahaprabhu to hear his recitation of the Vedanta Sutras, and the latter tacitly submitted. Chaitanya heard with silence what the great Sarvabhauma uttered with gravity for 7 days, at the end of which the latter said, Krishna Chaitanya, I think you do not understand the Vedanta, for you do not say anything after hearing my recitation and explanation. The reply of Chaitanya was that He understood the sutras very well, but he could not make out what Shankaracharya meant by his commentaries. Astonished as this, Sarvabhauma said, "How is it that you understand the meanings of the sutras and you do not understand the commentaries which explain the sutras? All well, if you understand the sutras, please let me have your interpretations." Mahaprabhu thereon explained all the sutras in his own way without touching the pantheistic commentary of Shankara. The keen understanding of Sarvabhauma saw the truth, beauty and harmony of arguments in the explanation given by Chaitanya and obliged him to utter that it was the first time that he had found one who could explain the Brahma Sutras in such a simple manner. He admitted also that the commentaries of Shankara never gave such natural explanations of the Vedanta Sutras as he had obtained from Mahaprabhu. He then submitted himself as an advocate and follower. In a few days, Sarvabhauma turned out to be one of the best Vaishnavas of the time. When reports of this came out, the whole Orissa sang the praise of Krishna Chaitanya, and hundreds of people came to him and became his followers. In the meantime, Mahaprabhu thought of visiting southern India, and he started with one Krishnadas Brahmana for the journey. So you can see that chapter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where he had the interaction with one of the great Panditas of Puri, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a big scholar, and he belonged to the Shankara school of knowledge. So in Shankara school of knowledge, Vedanta Sutras, which are called the Brahma Sutras, the most important aspect of the Vedic literatures are the Vedanta Sutras, because Vedanta Sutras are the summary, the main aspect of the entire Vedas. And Chaitanya, Shankaracharya has given his Bhashya, his commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. So, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, when his nephew Gopinath told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that this person, this Chaitanya, is not an ordinary person. Gopinatha was referring to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that this person is Krishna himself, is Jagannath himself. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was very annoyed. What are you telling? You are telling is Krishna? What Krishna is? Don't bring like this kind of things in my... Talk to me like that. First, I will speak to him. I will give him knowledge. You see, so Hankara Mayavadis have. They want to give knowledge. Brahma Sutra means what? Brahma Sutra means directly coming from the Lord's mouth. It is Brahman knowledge. So he says, I will give knowledge to this. And then he asks Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, come, you please sit down, I will speak. But a devotee, Mahaprabhu is playing the role of a Vaishnava, he is always humble. He says, yes, please speak, I will hear. Just like the same thing Mahaprabhu did later on when he went to Banaras with Prakashananda Saraswati. Banaras is the heart, Varanasi is the heart of Mayavadis. He did the same thing. Just stood, no, you speak something. He says, I don't know anything, you please speak. I have no idea. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya for 7 days, he continuously spoke Vedanta Sutras. And not a single question, like a Dumbo, like we say, no? तो गोबर का दिमाग है तुम्हारा अंदर में, कुछ भी नहीं बोलते हो, करके बैठे रहते. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat like that, and then going on speaking. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was going on speaking like that. And then Mahaprabhu didn't even utter a word, he was just listening. Ja, sab sun raha hai, chup ke. So Bhattacharya felt he is a total buddhu. He cannot understand anything. This boy cannot understand anything. What sannyasi is. So finally irritated. Like for example, sometimes if you are giving a lecture, and because we see people's faces, right? And when we see people's faces, if somebody is simply sitting like this, the lecturer also will say, pattar ko bol raha hu kya bhai? If there is no response from the listener, that speaker cannot speak. You will not be inspired to speak at all. So same was the case with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And finally he got fed up. Are you understanding what I am saying? I am going on speaking. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I understand every sutras. That means I understand every The original verses of the Vedanta, whatever you are talking, that I understand very well. But the commentary that you are giving, no, that I cannot understand at all. Just like we say, like for example, we are reading Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita when we take a class, we say, Bhagavan Uvacha, and then we quote the verse, and then we read the purport, and then we read our explanation. So if somebody says to you, आपने जो श्लोक पढ़ा वो हमने पहचान लिया, वो हमको मालूम है, लेकिन आपके जो वक्तव्य है वो हमें समझ में नहीं आया, व्हाट विल यू से? वक्तव्य क्यों देते हैं? वो श्लोक समझना मुश्किल है, इसीलिए जो है वक्तव्य दिया जाता है. You explain the verse, that's why people cannot understand directly the verse. So you give an explanation to make them understand the context of that verse. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I understand the verse, but I don't understand the context which you are presenting. So that will make it more irritating. So then Mahaprabhu says, okay, you explain then. You understood? No, you explain your Bhashya. So then Mahaprabhu says, yes, I will explain. And after hearing from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Bhashya, the word, the purport of Vedanta Sutra, Sarvabhauma Acharya says, I have never heard it so simple. It is so true. It is so true. Until and unless we came to Krishna consciousness and read Srila Prabhupada's books, or we were having association, we heard Srila Prabhupada's words, we had no idea what is Bhagavad Gita, what is this spiritual. So easily Srila Prabhupada says, Ahara nidra bhaya maitunam cha samanya metab pashubir naranam. So easily Srila Prabhupada told us what is material world, what is material life. Srila Prabhupada says anybody whose purpose in life is eating, sleeping, mating and defending, they should be considered on the same platform of an animal. So direct it is. Anybody, the first time, oh, acha, spiritual means what? Spiritual means one who can go beyond eating, sleeping, mating and defending. So direct, so easy, so simple. You ask Mayavadi, they will tell spiritual is oneness, spiritual is this one, spiritual is that one. What are you talking about? And then after hearing for 1 hour, 2 hours, all this big quantum mechanics philosophy he will bring and explain this, that. After listening to him, you will be confused. Kya bola wo? You will not understand ABCD of what he is talking. Srila Prabhupada so easily went and explained what is spiritual, how to understand spiritual. Prabhupada clearly says, knowledge beyond this body, mind, senses, ahankara is spiritual. So clear, so clarity. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the Brahma Bhashya, the Vedanta Sutra in so crystal clear form, in a simple way. Sarvabhauma Acharya is astonished. My God, so simple. A good teacher is what? A good teacher who can make complex. I never understood calculus. So difficult it was when I was studying. I still remember. That differentiation, my God, it was so difficult for me to understand what is this. Until and unless I met one teacher who explained to me. Engineering drawing, so difficult. That isometric drawing was so difficult. I flunked in that exam. Nobody flunks in drawing. So difficult. Because you need a teacher. Your brain is not able to imagine how you can project that image in different ways. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's why Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishna is the real Jagadguru. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so easily, so nicely explained the tattva of the Vedanta Sutras to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, because he is Krishna himself. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's journey to the South India. His biographers have given us a detail of the journey. He went first to Kurmakshetra, where he performed a miracle by curing a leper named Vasudeva. He met Ramananda Raya, the governor of Vidyanagara, on the banks of the Godavari, and had a philosophical conversation with him on the subject of Prema Bhakti. He worked another miracle by touching, making them immediately disciple the 7 tala trees through which Ramachandra, the son of Dasharatha, had shot his arrow and killed the great Bali Raja. He preached Vaishnavism and Nama Sankirtana throughout the journey at Ranga Kshetra, that is Srirangam. He stayed for 4 months in the house of one Venkata Bhatta in order to spend the rainy season. There he converted the whole family of Venkata from Ramanuja's Vaishnavism to Krishna Bhakti along with the son of Venkata, a boy of 10 years named Gopala, who afterwards came to Vrindavana and became one of the 6 Goswamis or prophets serving under their leader Sri Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya. Trained up in Sanskrit by his uncle Prabodhananda Saraswati, Gopala wrote several books on Vaishnavism. So you see the power of a great personality. And here we are talking about the Supreme Personality himself. It doesn't matter which sampradaya you are in, which guru you have, but as soon as the Lord himself comes, you will give up all your sampradaya affiliations and directly associate yourself with the Lord. And you can see our Jita Jagta example is our organization. We belong. Somebody is belonging to South Indian Brahmin, somebody is a UP Brahmin, somebody is a Punjabi Brahmin, somebody is a Bengali fellow, somebody is a Kshatriya, somebody is a Vaishya, somebody is a Shudra. Doesn't matter. We will all come together because the message is so powerful. The message is so attracting. Because ultimately the aim is what? The aim is Krishna Prema. That is being achieved here. We will come together. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where is Bengal? Where is Srirangam? It is more than 1200, 1500 kilometers away. The culture of Tamil Nadu, the culture of Bengal, no similarity at all. वो मद्रासी है बंगाली क्या है? There is no any similarity at all. But yet he came to the south and one of the main persons who preached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy was Gopala Bhatta Goswami, right? Who belonged to a different sampradaya altogether. Such is the power of the Supreme Lord. Doesn't matter who you are, which country you are, which status you are, which culture you are. No. Ultimately, Jiva is Krishna's Amsha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited numerous places in southern India as far as Cape Comorin, Kanyakumari, and returned to Puri in 2 years by Pandharpur on the bank of river Bhima. In his latter place, he spiritualized one Tukarama. See, Tukarama is also Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sishya, who became from that time a religious preacher himself. This fact has been admitted in his Adangas, which have been collected in a volume by Mr. Satyendranath Tagore of the Bombay Civil Service. During his journey, he had several discussions with the Buddhists, the Jains, the Mayavadis in several places and converted his opponents to Vaishnavism. Upon his return to Puri, Raja Prataparudra Deva and several Pandita Brahmanas joined the banner of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was now 27 years of age. In his 28th year, he went to Bengal as far as Gaura in Malda. There he picked up 2 great personages named Rupa and Sanatana. Though descended from the lines of Carnatic Brahmins, these 2 brothers turned demi-Muslims by their continual contact with Hussain Shah, the then emperor of Gauda. Their names had been changed by the emperor into Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik, and their master loved them heartily since they were both learned in Persian, Arabic and Sanskrit and were loyal servants of the state. The 2 gentlemen had found no way to come back as regular Hindus and had returned to Mahaprabhu for spiritual help. While he was at Puri, Mahaprabhu had written in reply that he would come to them and extricate them from their spiritual difficulties. Now that he had come to Gauda, both the brothers appeared before him with their long-standing prayer. Mahaprabhu ordered them to go to Vrindavan and meet him there. So very important chapter in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life was when he met his 2 principal lieutenants. Who were they? Rupa and Sanatana. So here it is said that they were from Malda. Sukamrata, our Prabhu, is from Malda. Right? So from that place, he met Rupa and Sanatana. And Rupa and Sanatana, because they were working with the then Nawab of Bengal, their Veshbhusha and virtually their lifestyle had become like the Nawab, like the Muslims. So they find, although they were born in very high class Karnataka Brahman Parivar, but yet because of bad association, they considered themselves as fallen. But by the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were completely purified and became the great principal Goswamis who preached the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So after his Leela in South India, he again went to Bengal, and then after that he came back to Puri, and from Puri now his yatra to Vrindavan begins. Chaitanya returned to Puri through Shantipura, and on the way when he was travelling back to Puri, at that time he met his mother after many years. After a short stay at Puri, he left for Vrindavana. This time he was accompanied by one Balabhadra Bhattacharya. He visited Vrindavana and came down to Prayag, Allahabad, converting a large number of Mohammedans to Vaishnavism by argument from the Quran. See, Mahaprabhu is arguing not on the basis of Bhagavad Gita to Muslims. He is arguing on the basis of Quran to Muslims. The descendant of those converts are still known as Patana Vaishnavas. Patan Vaishnavas are there. Patan Vaishnavas. Rupa Goswami met him in Allahabad. Chaitanya trained him up in spirituality in 10 days. In just 10 days, he became Pakka. For us, it will take a year. Even when you enter somebody into the temple, minimum 1 year training is required. And before that, you stay outside. We don't allow them to come inside the temple. No, you come from outside. Folk, there's so much cultivation has to be done to make him understand. See, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu within 10 days, he made him first class Vaishnava. Chaitanya trained him up in spirituality in 10 days and directed him to go to Vrindavana on missions. His first mission was to write theological works explaining scientifically pure bhakti and prema. The second mission was to revive the places where Krishna Chandra had in the end of Dwapara Yuga exhibited his spiritual Leela pastimes for the benefit of the religious world. Rupa Goswami left Allahabad for Vrindavana and Mahaprabhu came down to Banaras. There he resided in the house of Chandrasekhara and accepted his daily bhiksha meal in the house of Tapana Mishra. Here it was that Sanatan Goswami joined him and took instruction for 2 months in spiritual matters. The biographers, especially Krishnadas Kaviraj, have given us details of Chaitanya's teachings to Rupa and Sanatana. Krishnadas was not a contemporary writer, but he gathered his information from the Goswamis themselves, the direct disciples of Mahaprabhu. Jiva Goswami was the nephew of Sanatana and Rupa and who has left us his invaluable work of Shat Sandarbha as philosophized on the precept of his great leader. We have gathered and summarized the precepts of Chaitanya from the books of those great writers. So you can see the evolution of Lord Chaitanya, his followers, his mission, his pastimes, how he has built his preaching organization. While at Banaras, Chaitanya had an interview with the learned sannyasis of that town in the house of a Maratha Brahmana who had invited all the sannyasis for entertainment. At this interview, Chaitanya shewed a miracle which attracted all the sannyasis to him. Then ensued reciprocal conversation. The sannyasis were headed by their most learned leader, Prakashananda Saraswati. After a short controversy, they submitted to Mahaprabhu and admitted they had been misled by the commentaries of Shankaracharya. As explained to earlier, that how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's debate or talk with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya finally converted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya into accepting the Vaishnava conclusions of the Brahma Bhashya or the Vedanta Sutras. Similarly, Prakashananda Saraswati, who lived in Banaras, was a Mayavadi. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is why it is called that a pure person, he has got that power. Even completely negative person, he becomes spiritual. We have seen this in our Krishna conscious preaching experiences. All of us have seen somebody who was totally anti us, after some time becomes very positive to us. Very mystical. It was impossible even for learned scholars to oppose Chaitanya for a long time, for there was some spell in him which touched their hearts and made them weep for their spiritual improvement. The sannyasis of Benares soon fell at the feet of Chaitanya and asked for his grace, Kripa. Chaitanya then preached pure bhakti and instilled into their hearts spiritual love for Krishna, which obliged them to give them sectarian feelings. The whole population of Banaras, on this wonderful conversation of the sannyasis, turned Vaishnavas, and they made a master Sankirtana with their new Lord. After sending Sanatana to Vrindavana, Mahaprabhu went to Puri again through the jungles with his comrade Balabhadra. Balabhadra reported that Mahaprabhu had shown a good many miracles on his way to Puri, such as making tigers and elephants dance on hearing the name of Krishna. So here the mention of the Jarikanda Leela of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there. How Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could even make animals and beasts dance in ecstasy to the Sankirtana. That is the power of the Lord, that he can make. Animals don't have intelligence. Srila Prabhupada constantly used to say, cats and dogs cannot understand spiritual life, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made even not only cats and dogs, wild beasts take up Krishna consciousness. Just like Lord Ramachandra on the stone, as soon as he placed his leg on the stone, Halya manifested. From stone, a personality manifested. That is the power. When Krishna pulled the twin Arjuna trees, Nalakuvara and what is his name? Amanigriva, they presented. That is the transformative nature of the Lord. Similar transformative power is there in the holy name. It can change the nature completely. The identity itself is changed. Just like the identity were the two trees, the twin Arjuna trees. From that identity, two personalities emerged. From that time, that is from his 31st year, Mahaprabhu continually lived in Puri, the house of Kashi Mishra, until his disappearance in his 48th year at the time of Sankirtana in the temple of Tota Gopinath. During these 18 years, his life, now it is the Antya Leela. We did the, first was Adi Leela, Madhya Leela and Antya Leela. So some of the various, of course, very elaborate pastimes, but very brief aspects of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's beginning life, the middle life and the latter life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are trying to meditate and understand those different pastimes. So now we are coming to the Antya Leela from the 31st year. From this time, that is from his 31st year, Mahaprabhu continually lived in Puri. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Chandra Shri Nitai Gauranga Ki. Until his disappearance in his 48th year at the time of Sankirtana in the temple of Tota Gopinath. During these 18 years of his life was one of settled love and piety. He was surrounded by numerous followers, all of whom were of the highest order of Vaishnavas and who were distinguished from the common people by their purest character and learning. Firm religious principle and spiritual love of Radha Krishna, Swarup Damodara, who had been known by the name of Purushottam Acharya, while Mahaprabhu was in Nadia, joined him from Banaras and accepted service as his secretary. No production of any poet or philosopher could be laid before Mahaprabhu unless Swarupa had passed it as pure and useful. So bureaucracy is there in Mahaprabhu's. If you have to touch Mahaprabhu, then until and unless permission from Swarup Damodar is not there, you cannot enter his cabin. Raya Ramananda was his second mate. Both he and Swarupa would sing while Mahaprabhu expressed his sentiments on a certain point of worship. Paramananda Puri was his minister in matters of religion. There are hundreds of anecdotes described by his biographers which we do not think it meet here to reproduce. Mahaprabhu slept short. See, quality. Mahaprabhu slept short. Stress, Prabhupada is writing here. Sleep very less. His sentiments carried him far and wide in the firmament of spirituality every day and night, and all his admirers and followers watched him throughout. He worshipped, communicated with his missionaries at Vrindavana, and conversed with those religious men who newly came to visit him. He sang and danced, took no care of himself, and of times lost himself in religious beatitude. All who came to him believed in him as the all beautiful God, appearing in neither world for the benefit of mankind, in the nether world for the benefit of mankind. He loved his mother all along and sent her Mahaprasad now and then with those who went to Nadia. He was most amiable in nature. Humility was personified in him. His sweet appearance gave cheer to all who came in contact with him. He appointed Prabhu Nityananda as the missionary in charge of Bengal. He dispatched 6 disciple Goswamis to Vrindavana to preach love in the up country. This he markedly did in the case of Junior Haridas. He never lacked in giving proper instructions in life to those who solicited them. This will be seen in his teachings to Raghunath Das Goswami. His treatment to Haridas Senior will show how he loved spiritual men and how he defied caste distinction in spiritual brotherhood. This entire piece was written by Srila Thakur Bhaktivinoda Thakur on 20th August 1896. So this was reproduced and put by Srila Prabhupada as the prologue to teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So in brief, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has very nicely described the various aspects of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his personality, his life and his pastimes. In fact, this book, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life and precepts, was first published and kept in American and European libraries in 1896 itself. So today being Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day, we should meditate, remember and develop a loving relationship with the Supreme Lord who appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki. We will sing one small bhajan and we'll close it. He is there? He is not there. Huh? This song I cannot sing properly. Gauranga Tumi More. You can sing. Sumadura can sing. You can sing this song, Sumadura. ये ले लो करता ले लो।
गौरंगा तुम्हें मोरे दया न चले
गौरंगा तुम्हें दया न चढ़ी
गौरंगा तुम्हें मोरे दया न चले
गौरंगा तुम्हें दया न चढ़ी हो
अपना गोरिया रंगा चरण रखे
अपना तुरिया रंगा करने राखी हो
अपना गोरिया रंगा चरण रखेगा
अपने तुरिया रंगा चरणे राखी हो
गौरंगा तुम्हें मोरे दया न चले
गौरंगा तुम्ही मोरे दया न चढ़ी हो
तुम्हारा चरण लागे सबत गेलो
तुम्हारा चरण लागी सबते गिलो
तुम्हारा चरण लागे सबत गेलो
तुम्हारा चरण लागी सबते गिलो
शीतला चरण पाया शरण लयलो
शीतला चरण पाया शरण लोईलो
शीतला चरण पाया शरण लयलो
शीतल चरण पाया शरण लोईलो
गौरंगा तुम्हें मोर दया न चरेगा
गौरंगा तुम्ही मोरे दया ना चढ़िया
ये कोले वो कोले मोशे दिलो दिलांजले
ओ कुले मुनि दिलो तिलांजलि
ये कोले वो कोले मोशे दिलो तिलांजले
ये कुले वो कुले तुमी दिलो तिलांजलि
रागी हो चरणे मोरे अपनार बोले
ताकि हो चरणे मोरे अपनार बोले
रागी हो चरणे मोरे আপনার বলে
রাখি হো চরণা মোরি আপনার বলি
গৌরঙ্গা তুমি মোর দয়া না ছাড়ে
গৌরঙ্গা তুমি মোরে দয়া না ছাড়িও
হরে কৃষ্ণ কৃষ্ণ
एक और लाइन है ना
वासुदेव घोष बोले चरण दरिया
घोषे बोले चरण रंगया
वासुदेव घोषे बोले चरण दरिया
घोषे बोले चरण डोरिया
कृपा करे राखो मोरे पादाचाय दिया
कृपा कोरी राखो मोरे पदचाय दिया
कृपा करे राखो मोरे पादाचाय दिया गौरंगा तुम्हें मोर दया न छनिहा जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरा सुंदर गौरा सुंदर गौरा सुंदर जय गौरा सुंदर जय जय प्रभुपा 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 शिल प्रभुपा
You can sing one more Gaurangera Dhuti Pada. Gaurangera Dhuti
गौरंगेरा धुते पादा जार्दना संपदा
Gaurangera Dhuti Pada Daradana Sampada
गौरंगेरा धुते पादा जार्दना संपदा
Gaurangera Dhuti Pada Dharadhana Sampada
से जाने बकाते रससा
Sati Dasasara
ते जाने भकाते रससा
जाने बकती रससा
गौरंगे राम दोलेला जार गाने प्रवेशेला
गौरांगेर मधुर लीला जरा करने प्रवेशिला
गौरंगेर मधुर लीला जार गाने प्रवेशेला
गौरांगेर मधुर लीला जार करने प्रवेशिला
हृदय निर्मला बेलोता
हृदय निर्मला बेलोता
हृदय निर्मला बेलोता
हृदय निर्मला बेलोता
जे गौरंग नामालो तारा प्रेमोद
हे गौरंगे नामालोय तारा होए प्रेमोदय
जे गौरंग नामालो तारा प्रेमोद
जे गौरंगे नामे लोय तारा होए प्रेमोदय
तारे मोई जाय बोले हारे
हरे मुई जाई बोलियारी
तारे मोई जाय बोले हारे
हरे मुई जाई बोलिहारी
गौरंग गुने दे जोरे नित्य लीला तारे स्फुरे
गौरंग गुणे ते जुरे नित्य लीला तारे स्फुरे
गौरंग गुने दे जोरे नित्य लीला तारे स्फुरे
गौरांगेर नित्य लीला तारे स्फुरे
ते जन बकाते अधिकारे
ते जन बकति अधिकारी
ते जन बकाते अधिकारे
ते जन बकति अधिकारी
गौरंगेरा संगे घने नित्य सिद्धा कोरे माने
गौरांगेर संगी गणे नित्य सिद्ध कोरी माने
गौरंगेरा संगे गाने नित्य सिद्ध कोरे माने
गौरांगेर संगी गणे नित्य सिद्ध कोरी माने
से जाय ब्रजेंद्र सुतपा
ते जाय ब्रजेंद्र सुतपाल
ते जाय ब्रजेंद्र सुतपाल
ते जाय ब्रजेंद्र सुतपाल
श्री गौड़ मंडला भूमे जय बजाने चिंता माने
गौड़ मंडल भूमि जे बजाने चिंतामणि
श्री गौड़ मंडला भूमे जय बजाने चिंता माने
श्री गौड़ मंडल भूमि जे बजाने चिंतामणि
तारा होय ब्रजा भूमे भा
तारा हो ये ब्रज भूमि बार,
तारा होय ब्रज भूमे बार,
तारा मध्य ब्रज भूमि बार,
गौर प्रेम रसानवे से तरंग डूबे,
तरंगे जेब डूबे,
गौर प्रेम रसानवे से तरंग जेबा डूबे,
गौर रूप रसानवे से तरंगे जेबा डूबे,
से राधा माधव अंतरंगा,
हे राधा माधव अंतरंगा,
से राधा माधव अंतरंगा,
हे राधा माधव अंतरंगा,
गृह भवने ते ताके हा गौरंग बोले डाके,
प्रिय भवनि ते टाके आह गौरंग बोले डाके,
गृह भवने ते ताके हा गौरंग बोले डाके,
गृह भवनि ते टाके आह गौरंग बोले डाके,
नरोत्तम मागे तारा संगा,
नरोत्तम मागे तारे संगा,
नरोत्तम मागे तारा संगा,
नरोत्तम मागे तारा संगा,
गौरंग राधुते पदा जातना संपदा,
गौरंग पद जरदन संपद,
ते जाने बताते रससा,
ते जाने बकती रस सारा,
ते जाने बकाते रससा, जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता, जय जय प्रभुपा 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 शिल प्रभुपा,
श्री गौरंग महाप्रभु की, श्री गौर पूर्णिमा महामहोत्सव की, जय गौर प्रेमानंदे।